All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Hang, a Zumiez district manager out in Los Angeles area, and I'm excited to host this powerful conversation between Zumiez customers, student leaders with the Andrew Goodman Foundation, and myself. Before we get started, I want to tell you a little bit about Zumiez Stand Up. This year, Zumiez is inspiring and activating our communities to get registered to vote and then go vote. We believe your voice and your vote matter. If you go to zumiez.com/standup, you can register to vote. Check your registration, get election reminders, and learn how to take action if you aren't old enough to vote or want to do more. Today, we have a group of amazing young people here to talk about why and standing up for what you believe in is important. So could you all introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and why you're excited to be a part of this conversation. Cyrus, you want to be the first one?
Sure. So my name is Cyrus Commissariat. I'm going to be a senior at Arizona State University. I'm majoring in political science, history, and French, so they keep me busy. I am from Phoenix. I grew up in LA, but I've lived in Phoenix for a long time now. And I'm so excited to be a part of this conversation because I think we're in a moment right now in this country where we're so divided and we're so afraid to address some of these difficult conversations. And, I think this panel and panels like this and companies taking up this responsibility, I think this is kind of how we get to a more unified and stronger country.
Great, thank you so much. Dion?
Hi, I'm Dion, and I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. I will be attending Auburn University as a political science and global studies and human sciences major. And I'm really excited to be a part of this discussion. I'm really excited to.
Thank you. And Cheyenne?
Hi, I'm Cheyenne. I'm from New Windsor, New York. I'm still in middle school, but soon to be in high school. I want to start growing in law school, if it's possible. And I'm excited to be part of this conversation because, yet again, people's voices need to be heard and more equal rights have to be spreaded around the community.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you, guys. So first of all, I want to acknowledge how crazy it's been living in 2020 in America today, right? How is everyone doing? How are your families? Are they all healthy? Cheyenne?
Family's doing good. Yeah, they're holding up there. Thank you.
Great. Dion?
Yeah, we're good. We're being pretty cautious. We have some at-risk people in my family, so yeah.
That's great. And what about you, Cyrus?
Yeah, we're all doing good. It's been nice actually spending time together and being with one another. So yes, we're good.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, here in LA and most of California, our mayor and our governor have actually been adding restrictions again. And as we're struggling with COVID, this whole experience has been really highlighting how much our local elected leaders have impacted our lives. Have you all felt that in your states, and what has it been like? Cheyenne?
I don't know who to go first, but I feel it a lot. There's a lot of arguments about what's right or what's wrong, or why are you doing this wrong. But, people have their own opinions on what they feel like.
Yeah, absolutely. Dion, what about you?
It's been pretty difficult. It's been like our government is very hands-off type of approach, but the school systems and businesses are all kind of taking responsibility on their own. Well, most of them. So it's what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cyrus?
So in Arizona, I think we are experiencing a crisis of leadership. I think the state government has been slow to react and the federal government has been slow to react. So it's really, the mantle has been picked up by our mayors and cities and school districts across the country. And so it really kind of underscores the importance that local government has in our lives.
Absolutely, I agree. There's so many different opinions and ideas out there, right? And at the same time, we want to make sure that we are listening and we're educating ourselves and understanding what's going on out there, and do our best to help where we can. It feels like there's so much news and hype around the president and at the national level, but really, like we just talked about, our local leaders often have a bigger impact on us and the things we care about. So what issues and causes are important to each of you? Cyrus, I'll start with you.
Oh yeah, I think that's pretty fitting for my last answer. And so, one of the reasons why I do this is, so I'm in Arizona, and I don't know if a lot of you saw in 2016, we had our Red for Ed protests. So that was when our teachers stood up and said, enough is enough. We're not getting the pay and respect that we deserve. And so they went on strike. And kind of since then, and even a little before then, that has kind of been my motivating factor for getting people out there to vote. I think education inequality is a really big issue in Arizona, and it's kind of reaching a boiling point where the lack of investment that we have made in our children's future, in our state's future, is we're going to have to pay for it somewhere along the line. And I think when a voter is educated and realizes this and sees the importance of education, they choose to elect pro-education and public education, pro-public education, public service. So that's why I do what I do.
That's great. That's amazing. Dion, what about you?
Like Cyrus, I'm pretty passionate about education also. In Alabama, it's not necessarily the best education, except for in very concentrated, less diverse areas. And it's like there's not enough emphasis on what we're being taught, and even our high school experiences, like clubs and pep rallies and stuff like that, which all, have a big impact on high schoolers' growth and who they go to be as an adult. So I hope to do some work there when I get older.
Absolutely. And can you talk a little bit about the petition that you started as well?
I created a petition. It's called Police Reform in Birmingham, Alabama. And after the protest started, after George Floyd's death, I felt like I wasn't really doing enough. Like, I felt like I could do something. I couldn't go protest because I live with my grandma. She's at high risk for like very bad effects from COVID. And I wanted to create something that could affect my city, my people, instead of like, the quick, immediate justice of, arresting the people. How to prevent people, prevent situations where people aren't being held accountable. Because right now there's so many loopholes in laws that make it seem like, well, what he did wasn't really a crime or X, Y, and Z. So I created a petition asking my mayor and local mayors to make some changes within their areas, like de-escalation, focusing on mental health interactions, because a lot of the deaths by police are maybe 50%. So yeah.
That's great. And it's the type of things that you are doing here, Cyrus and Dion, that is going to make that change, right, from one community to another. So thank you for the work that you guys are doing right now. Cheyenne, what about you? What are some issues and causes that are important to you?
Well, just like they both said, the education isn't as easy as like the teachers say it is. Like some kids are still struggling to get through their senior year due to the whole COVID thing. Their parents want to watch them walk across the stage with their diploma, and now they can't. So I'm pretty sure I saw somebody's petition about that. I'm pretty sure I saw that. And I'm from New York, so that's like so far from Alabama all the way to New York. And it's honestly she's doing a good thing for the change of the world, of what's happening with all the deaths, all the protests, all the brutality that's going around. And it's honestly stressful for anybody who goes. People are scared to go outside because of what's happening. they could turn a corner and don't know what could happen. So support it fully on what she's saying.
Absolutely. And clearly, by each of you being here today, you're passionate about using your voice to bring awareness to the things that you care about. What does using your voice mean to you, Cheyenne?
It means a lot, because I know there's some people who think that they're alone or they're scared to speak for themselves. So I want them to know, like, you're not alone in any situation you go through. If your parents don't accept you, good. The community you are, they accept you. Like, they could be people who don't support it, but there's more than one person that supports it. And they're always going to be there for you. So I want people to know that, I want them to know their worth.
Yeah, absolutely. Dion?
It's really, for me, it means like often here, it means standing up for something, even if nobody else is. A lot of the time, I'm the only one advocating for something in my school. And it means doubling down. It means like you're gonna hear me, and it just means like it means everything, because otherwise nothing's gonna change.
Absolutely. And Cyrus, what about you?
Yeah, so I think, one of the easiest ways to use your voice is to be voting. I think we kind of underestimate the power in that action and in that habit that we have to be creating. The power of the vote is something that, so many generations have fought for. And, we still see some of the same battles cropping up throughout each of the states with voter ID laws, with laws that put up barriers to prevent voting. And so, we have to be vigilant. We have to make sure that our state legislatures and governors and congressmen and senators, that they all know that we are watching and that we hold our vote to be sacred, and to prevent kind of the antics that have been going on.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And using your voice to vote, like Cyrus said, is extremely a powerful move, right? So at this time, I'm going to hand it over to Cyrus to take over a couple of these questions as well.
Great, thank you, Hong. So there's so much that you can do to use your voice, from starting petitions like Dion to telling your story like you have, Cheyenne. And so one of the most powerful ways to use your voice once you're 18 is to get out and vote in your local and national elections. So how do you think your votes impact the issues you all have talked about? Go for it, Cheyenne.
Well, I feel like voting could put a word out there. Like, you could put your 2 cents in of how you feel. Or you could show people that, oh, you might not like this, but you're going to have to do it anyway to have a change. More than an option.
I'm so sorry. I think I lost that last part. What was that, Cheyenne?
It's more a change, not an option.
I see. Okay, thank you. And Dion, the question is, how do you think your votes impact the issues you have talked about?
I think it affects everything. A lot of people, will doubt the power of their vote, but when you think about your local elections, and then even like the presidential election, those people have influence. They elect people who have bigger influence on things that you care about, like whether that's education, or security or whatnot. Like Betsy I forgot her name, Betsy DeVoe. She's, has like an endorsement from Trump, and she impacts the whole education system. So who you vote for really does matter, and affect the things that you care about, because you're endorsing someone to choose on your behalf.
Wonderful. That's really well said. Hong, will you be answering this question?
I believe so, yeah.
Yes, wonderful. Go for it.
Cool. So, I believe in the LGBTQIA plus community. I believe in women's rights. I believe in Black Lives Matter. In order for my vote to impact those issues, I need to continue to talk about it, continue to educate those young individuals. I've been married to my wife for 2 years and together for 16. Being in an interracial relationship has its challenges, and each and every day. My wife is African American and I'm Vietnamese. But I want to show everyone that we are strong. And through the discrimination, through the racism, through the hate, through the inequality, we are still strong. And I just want to be a role model for many minority kids out there that they can do whatever they want to do. They can be a doctor, they can be an engineer, they can be gay, and they can be happy. I want my kids to grow up and not be afraid that they're going to go on a run, not be afraid to go on a run, not be afraid to take a stroll to their friend's house. I want my daughter not to go into a store and have to clutch her purse because she's afraid that, somebody thinks that she's stealing, right? And all of these things that I believe in and I want, it takes a strong leader to make that type of change. And I want my vote to make a difference. I want to inspire change. I want to inspire love and unity, but it starts with us voting, not just this election, but many more to come. It will make a difference in our future, in our kids' future, and their kids' future.
I think that is so well said. And, elections truly do have consequences. And, for example, we in Arizona elected Kathy Hoffman, Superintendent Hoffman, this past election cycle. And she, worked tirelessly to take out the negative parts in our sex education about homosexuality. And it really does matter who we are voting to put in office. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. And my next question is, so if you're under 18 and you can't vote, first you can pledge to register through vote.org. If you go to rockthevote.org/Zumiez/vote tripling, another major thing you can do is talk to your friends and family who are eligible to vote to make sure they're registered and actually go vote. Do you all talk to your friends and family about voting or what you care about? And how do you approach those conversations? Go for it, Cheyenne.
Honestly, yes, I do talk to my friends and family about voting. I do talk to them about raising their voice. My own cousin, she's one of the main people I go to if I need help with something or if I'm getting bullied, I guess you could say, or just discrimination in one. And then she'll tell me oh, you got this. And then more put together, it's yeah, you could talk to a stranger if anything. You could usually just oh, hey, can you do this for me? It'll help around the community. And if they support it, of course, they'll be yes, I will help you.
Thank you. Well said. I think the importance of family and those conversations is really, really important. Go for it, Dion.
Talking to my friends about voting and things that matter to me, I'm known to be that person who's gonna make something political, but I believe the political is personal. I said that wrong. But I can't think. I'm sorry. I just blacked out. I'm going to just switch up my answer.
Do you want me to restate the question? Would that make it? Yeah, let's do that. So the question is, do you talk to your friends and family about voting or what you care about? And how do you approach these conversations?
Yes, I do. I'm known to be the friend that talks about everything that's really serious. And in school, I was our school's SGA president. And one of the initiatives that we tried to push was this thing called Poly Talk, where we got all the seniors or anybody that would be 18 by the time elections came, and we would discuss things that all the candidates believed in or just about the individual topics itself so that they can develop their own ideas on it. and that way they could feel more equipped to vote when it's time, because that I feel like that's a problem for a lot of people. They feel like they just don't know enough. They don't want to, do the wrong thing. But really, it's just you get your opinion, you get your information, and you go vote.
Wonderful. And then lastly, go for it, Hong.
Yeah, so yes, definitely I talk to my friends and family, and I always share my personal story. So this may take a little bit, some time, but I just want to share my personal story to you guys and everybody else watching. My family and I immigrated to the United States in 1990. My parents, my older brother, my two older sisters, and myself. We came here to have a shot at freedom, to have a better life. My dad was in the Vietnam War, and when it ended in 75, him and my mom got married. They tried to escape the country, and obviously by that time, the only way for you to escape is by boat. And so my dad had to build his own boat, and finally, after several attempts, after many years, they finally made it to the Philippines by boat in the mid-'80s. After staying in concentration camps for a couple of years, I was conceived, and I was born in Malaysia. And while waiting for all the visas to be processed and be accepted to move to the United States, during this time, my brother and my sisters were begging for food each day, begging for rice to stay alive, so that they can have that better life in the United States. My parents made a lot of sacrifices for my siblings and I. And when we finally arrived in America in 1990, my parents continued to struggle to stay afloat. My dad working, I remember, day and night construction jobs. My mom was sewing, she was a seamstress, working day and night. And those sacrifices they made for us got me here where I am today. And they didn't even speak any English doing it, and they still barely speak any English. I went to kindergarten not speaking any English, and I was made fun of. I was called names, and I was called a fob, fresh off the boat, right? And so you're probably wondering why, I'm telling you this life story, but I'll get to the point, and that's because, my parents were not U.S. citizens then. So when I turned 18, I had to go through this process to become a citizen and have the right to vote. And I had no idea what that even meant. Like, I had to be naturalized. So that's the process that I had to go through to be able to vote, right? And I wanted to share my story because I want young people watching to know that some of us were not born with a free ticket to vote. Like my 21-year-old niece, my 18-year-old nephew growing up right now, they have that ticket, that free ticket. Immigrants like my parents, myself, had to go through a process to be able to vote, to have the same right, to be able to make a difference, to be able to share our voices. And I want all young people out there to know that your voice and your vote matter, and use what you have to your advantage. And that's the right to vote.
That was wonderful. Thank you. And I think your story mirrors so many other immigrant stories, just like my family. So that was excellent. And so the way that I kind of do this, I think, I hear so often, I don't vote because I'm not political, or I don't vote because I don't know enough. I don't want to do the research. I don't care. It's not me. So, how I approach those conversations is, one is starting from that place of understanding that, yes, there's a lot to care about, and there's so many things going on. But I think find the thing that you care about and learn the impact that your elected leaders have on that issue. If it's climate change, if it's education, if it's gun violence, if it's equity. So that's my way of doing it. So next is, it's estimated that only 23% of eligible voters under age 20 voted in the 2018 midterm elections. So why do you all think young people tend to vote at lower rates than older people? Go for it, Han.
I'm going to use work as an example here. I often tell my employees when someone doesn't complete a project or a task, it's because of two reasons. They don't know how, or they don't care, right? And I think that we can definitely relate to young voters out there when it comes to voting, right? I believe that's the same concept. A lot of people may not know how to vote, or they simply don't care. Either way, we must find ways to educate them. If you don't know, obviously, if you don't know how to register, there is registration education classes. There's, you can Google online how to register. Ask a friend, ask your neighbor, right? If you don't know your polling places, there's ways for us to be able to help and lend a hand there. And as you talk to many young people with the mindset of who cares? Why does my vote matter? It doesn't affect me now. Well, what they don't understand is they have to stay educated, because one day it will affect them. Yes, the presidential is important, but the local elections are just as important. The daily problems and the issues that concern most people are resolved by local officials, right? Road work, access to clean water, safety of your neighborhood, your crime rates in your community rising. That's all dictated by your local officials. So don't wait for a bill or a law to pass and then get upset that it didn't go your way. That's why we want to be able to get ahead of it now, and once again, register and vote.
Absolutely. Dion, would you like to share your 2 cents?
Definitely think there are a lot of reasons why young people tend to not vote. Some people, a lot of people don't live in swing states, so then they begin to think, well, what does my vote weigh? Like, if my state is historically red or historically blue, what am I going to do? But the way I think about it is the way it's been that way. There hasn't been any change because we get psyched up in the colors of our state. We think it's not going to matter. So if you vote, and if everybody's voting, getting out of that headspace of where it doesn't matter, just to see what happens, I think young people could see that, they have more impact than they think. That maybe your red state will go blue, maybe your blue state will go red, whatever. But I think if you got out of that headspace and just voted, it'd be a sight to see.
Absolutely. I think that's well said, to never discount the power of your vote. And lastly, Cheyenne, if you want to put in some input.
I agree with Dion. It's more so they don't know what to do, or they just don't feel like their vote matters to whoever or whatever they're trying to elect to. Therefore, they're like, oh, it's not going to matter. It's not going to make a change. But people who's on their side, it could make a change from what they elected to. And they're just scared of, well, it's not going to happen, so it's not. My vote does not matter if there's thousands of other people voting for it. But you could be one of those thousands of people putting your own vote in to make a change in the world. And some kids under 18 don't realize how much they could help the world change for its better.
Yeah, I think recognizing that we all have power in our own way, and that's one of the best things about this country is our rights to speech and the work that we have to do to maintain those rights. And so next question is, what do you think we should do to change this low voting rate? How can we, each of us, be impactful? Cheyenne, if you want to go for it.
Well, just like I just said, you could put your vote in. You could talk to your parents, hey, Mom, can you help me try to fill this in? Or, hey, Dad, can you try to help me make my voice matter, or try to project my voice to make it heard by 5 people, and then they could send it to others. And it's mostly about how you see it. Some people don't really want to be known for what they did, or some people want to be that person who's oh yes, give me all the attention that I can get.
Thank you. Next, if you want to go, Dion.
I think it's really important to of course, be the change you want to see. So that means you're gonna have to spark these conversations with people older and younger than you, the same age as you, and really talk about these things because through conversation, people's emotions build up. They're passionate about things, and sometimes that passion can lead to action. So I want I want people to take those steps, have those conversations, and hopefully that leads to you voting. Hopefully that it impacts you later.
Excellent. And Hong, if you want to close us out with this question.
I mean, I just want to be able to use my influence to continue to educate my friends and my family, my peers. I have little nieces and nephews. I want to be a parent one day, right? And so I want to be that role model and be able to show them that how their vote matters, their voice matters, and we must educate these young people on how important their vote is, and that voting is power. You have the power to change the future of your community, of your state, and your country.
Yeah, Clarence Jones is on the advisory board of the Andrew Goodman Foundation. He was MLK's attorney, I believe. And, at our last conference, he said, it was something along like voting is speaking truth to power. So it was incredibly impactful. And I think it's really well said. That is exactly what voting is. It's speaking truth to power, speaking our needs and our wants to our elected officials and ensuring that our needs are met. So thank you for letting me ask some of the questions. I'll turn it back to Hong.
All right, Dion, last question here is for you. This is your first election you voted in, right? So are you excited?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm hoping to drag all my friends with me. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. Obviously, we had a great conversation. Now, who wants to play a game?
Maybe.
All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to be playing Two Truths and a Lie, the voting edition. Have you guys all played Two Truths and a Lie before?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, here's how it works anyways. I'm going to read 3 statements. You're each going to guess which one is the lie. We'll do 3 rounds, and whoever has the most correct guesses wins a prize from Zumiez. To reveal the answer, we're going to send you a meme from the lie from each round. I think that was for me. Hold on 1 second. Sorry, guys. Let's do this. All right, round 1. Number 1, young voters have the power to swing the election in over 10 different states and districts. Number 2, in 2018, young women outvoted young men. And number 3, if you go to the polls and they say that you aren't registered to vote, there's nothing you can do.
Oh,
First, I'm going to start with you first. Which is a lie?
Is that to me or yes?
Yep. You guys are all going to guess which one you think.
Wonderful.
Right.
So I know, I'm 100% positive that number 3, if you go to the polls and they say you aren't registered to vote, there's nothing you can do. Let's not forget the provisional ballot in many states, and you can do a lot to protect your vote.
All right. Sorry, Dion. Is that the same answer there?
I think I'm gonna go with 3.
You're going to go with 3, and then Cheyenne?
I'm going with 3.
All right. When a poll worker says you're not registered to vote, but you totally are, when you hit them with the request for a provisional ballot. Cyrus.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right. All right. First, make sure you are at the right polling place. If you are at the wrong polling place, they will not have your name on the list of voters. If you are at the correct location and you are not on the list, you can still cast a ballot. Ask the poll worker for a provisional ballot. After the polls close on election day, the state will check on the status of your voter registration, and if there's a mistake made, The state must notify you as to whether your ballot was counted. If you have a problem voting and think your rights have been denied, call 866-OUR-VOTE. There will be lawyers there to help. Go for it. All right. We're going to go to round 2. All right. Question number 1. Among college students, Black women had the highest voter turnout rate across the country in 2018. Question number 2. One vote matters. In 2016, a Vermont State Senate Democratic primary was decided by a single vote. Number 3, some voters in Georgia had to wait upwards of 9 hours in line to vote in the primary this spring. Cheyenne?
Oh, jeez. This one's complicated. I want to go with 2. I feel like I'm going to go
Number
with
2. Dion?
I'm gonna go with 3.
And Cyrus?
I am going to go with 1.
Okay. Each of you have an answer there. Here's the answer. Voters in Georgia waited in line over 7 hours to vote. Voters had to wait as long as 7 hours in line, a bit less than 9 hours, but still way too long to exercise their democratic right. All right, round 3. Actually, who got that one right? Number 3. Who had number 3? Okay, Dion's got that answer correct. All right, round 3. Number 1, 52% of young people say that they need to rearrange their school or work schedule in order to go vote. Number 2, Texas legalized mobile polling sites to make it easier for young people to vote on campus. Number 3, you have a legal right to vote as long as you are in line before your voting location closes. I am gonna go with Cyrus first.
This one is hard. I think 2. That doesn't sound like Texas, but it sounds like a great idea.
And Dion?
Going with 2 also, because that's sus.
All right, and Cheyenne?
Yeah, I'm going with 2. That seems a little bit weird.
All right. Texas actually banned mobile polling sites that often make it easier for young people to vote at temporary campus locations. Because of this ban, 9 polling sites at Austin Community College campuses closed, as the New York Times reported in the fall. The Times noted that those sites logged many of the nearly 14,000 ballots that full-time students cast last year. At the polling site in Houston, Texas Southern University, a historically Black college, some people waited nearly 7 hours in line. All right. I think Dion won that, the game, if I'm correct. She's got 2 out of the 3.
I'm pretty sure she did.
All right, guys. I think that's all the time we have for today. Before we wrap this up, is there anything else any of you would like to say before we close? I'll start with you, Cyrus.
Yeah, I think never underestimate the power of your vote, and then do more, right? Voting is where we start, it's not where we stop. You know, there's so many ways that we can get involved. In Phoenix, the legislature is just a hop, skip, and a jump away from ASU's campus, so that is one of the easiest ways to get involved. If you hear about a bill and you're angry about it, go testify. Tell those lawmakers, show them that you're holding them accountable. Write emails, write letters. Keep on your elected officials and keep after your democracy. Thank you.
Dion?
Again, have those uncomfortable conversations with people who matter to you or people who don't. Just talk to anybody about anything. And make efforts to be part of organizations at your school or your local community, because that can lead you to a sense of community, and it can make you more comfortable to talk about things.
And Cheyenne?
Always chase what you believe, because one day that could make a big change in the world. Your voice matters to anybody that supports of what you're coming from or what you believe in.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you guys once again. This is an extremely important year. We need to register to vote and actually show up at all of the polls. Let's make sure to do our part, educate our peers, and demand for our voices to be heard. That's how we create change. Keep listening and keep learning. Don't forget to register to vote, learn more, and take action at zumiez.com/standup. Get registered, use your voice, and go vote.